Hello everyone, I know it's been a while, it's been a few months since my last upload, the Dr. Fetus video. And I'm making this video to talk about the Five Nights at Freddy's movie because I saw that today. This video is going to be in a very different style compared to my other videos. I'm doing this completely unscripted, I'm just talking from the mind. And I'm going to do that quite a bit, I think, because sometimes I watch a movie and I just don't really have many thoughts to give. At least for like a full video. But the Five Nights at Freddy's movie I just wanted to talk about and just kind of give my thoughts on it. So yeah, let's get into that. The Five Nights at Freddy's movie. I was expecting it to be bad. And these past few days, I've just heard the most mixed of things ever. And it's been crazy, it's been a mess just hearing all the debacle about it. Because Rotten Tomatoes gave it like a 30%, I think. And, you know, people don't take those scores very kindly. So I watched it a bit ago, and I can't say that I liked it. It's weird. I don't want to say that. I don't want to say I don't like it, because it has really cool moments. It's not like it didn't, but it really missed the ball on a lot of things. Like, it really lost me a lot. So I'm going to go a bit spoiler-free first, and I'll let you know when things are going to get into spoilers. But the spoiler-free synopsis is the movie is about Mike Schmidt and his sister Abby, and Mike loses his job and he's trying to find a new place to work, and he finds a place called Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Of course, it's fucking Five Nights at Freddy's, of course. But he ends up working there, and then he has like these hallucinatory dreams about these ghost children, and the movie progresses from there. It just kind of goes about him trying to go through this job and deal with the animatronics. He doesn't even really deal with the animatronics until a little later. I don't even think they bug him. But it's interesting because I think the first half of this movie was really good. I think the tone they were setting up was very interesting. It was the way that they did it was just very somber, and it was very naturally done, I think. It sets up the character of Mike, and I gotta say, whoever plays Mike is doing a really good job. I don't know, I'm not good with actor names, so I don't know specifically who's playing Mike Schmidt, but he does a really good job. His acting throughout the entire movie is really great. You have the guy that voices Shaggy, I believe his name is Matthew Lillard? I believe that's his name. He plays William Afton. This has kind of been news that has been going around lately, and he does a decent job. I like his performance a lot. The animatronics look amazing. They look great. I can't believe how accurate they are to the game models. Like, it's actually crazy what the Jim Henson Creature Shop can do. I think the animatronics just as a whole carry the movie. I mean, they're amazing. Like, the puppeteers and everything, they are crazy good at what they did. They really made the animatronics feel robotic. They nailed them out of the park. It was amazing. And they even got like the atmosphere of the building down. Everything looks so good. Like, barring the 2D artwork, because FNaF has always had a 2D artwork problem where it just doesn't look good. I hope they're improving that. But overall, it just looked like amazing. It looked great. Now, those are about all the positives that I have that are not spoilery, but the negatives, they kind of like bug me a little bit more. Like, the first aspect is the horror element. So FNaF is a horror game, and this movie is not a horror movie. I'm just going to be completely honest. It's not a horror movie in the sense that it's not scary. There are attempts to be scary, and there are attempts to make you jump with like jump scares, because, you know, FNaF is known for jump scares, but the overall movie structure is not horror. There's not a moment in it where I was scared. I found myself laughing more than I was scared. And that's sad to say, because I think FNaF games, they're pretty good at atmosphere and being scary, but FNaF is currently in a state where it feels like it has to be campy. And not that I mind that. I mean, a horror series can be campy, and that's fine. But the problem I have is that it was advertised as a horror movie. In the trailers and everything, you can see they were trying to go for a very horror movie-esque kind of style. But then you watch the movie, and it's barely a horror movie. There's nothing to be scared of. It tries, and I think that some elements of it works. But overall, it wasn't scary at all. So now I'm going to talk about my spoiler thoughts, because I have a lot to say about the movie and the way it handles its plot. It's not very good. So skip to here if you don't want to hear about spoilers, and I'll try to keep it brief, hopefully. So basically, Mike keeps getting these hallucinatory dreams with the children that went missing, and they represent all the animatronics, and you can kind of tell. I thought this main kid that was talking to Mike was Freddy, but it turns out he's actually Golden Freddy? That kind of like actually threw me off a ton, because he has like a brown shirt on, and every animatronic kind of has a representation of what makes them the animatronic they're possessing. Or I guess every child has like an attribute, like the kid that possesses Bonnie has bunny ears, and the kid that possesses Chica has like a yellow shirt on with a bib. But the kid that possesses Freddy has like a paper hat, and I didn't even notice that. I thought that was Golden Freddy. But it's weird, because Golden Freddy has no significance in the movie at all. He shows up for 2 seconds, rides a taxi with Abby to lead her to the pizzeria, and then just kind of disappears. And that kind of sucks, because I think Golden Freddy they are such an interesting character, because they're on the same level as Spring Bonnie, who, by the way, might have been a bit of wasted opportunity in this movie, which I'll get to in a second. But Golden Freddy is kind of like the leader of the group, and he kind of has an idea of who Spring Bonnie is, while the other animatronics apparently don't. It's so weird, because in the climax of the movie where William Afton reveals himself, which, by the way, was very underwhelming, William Afton's like, oh yeah, I killed your brother Mike, it was me, I did it. But then it just turns out that apparently he's possessing the animatronics, he's got control of them, and they don't know that he's the killer. But it doesn't make sense to me, because it's written as if Golden Freddy does know, but he's also the leader of the group, and he's not telling the animatronics, or the other children, that that's the murderer. But it feels like it's implied that he knows, because he's drawing the bunny in the sand, he's trying to persuade Mike into believing that his brother can be saved. So it's a mix of him knowing about Spring Bonnie and wanting to lead Mike astray with giving Abby to them. And it's just very convoluted, and I guess that's representative of FNAF's current lore, which I'm not a fan of, I'll be honest. And it just kind of bugs me. It bugged me after the movie. It just left me thinking. I feel like I wasn't satisfied with any answer that I was trying to come up with myself. And speaking of being golden, Springtrap, he looks amazing, but it has got to be the most underwhelming reveal ever. I'm a huge fan of FNAF, and Springtrap is one of my favorite designs, and nothing changes here. He looks incredible. But the way that they handled him here, it was so underwhelming. It felt like they had to tack him into like the last 5 minutes of the movie because he's the main villain. He's the murderer. But the problem is, they don't give William Afton enough time to really make himself known. He's in the beginning helping Mike get the job at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, and then that's it. He gives him the job, and then he's gone for the rest of the movie until the end when he shows up in the Springtrap suit. And that bugs me, because if there was some sort of presence of him kind of in the middle or something, it would have made his reveal more impactful. Because as a FNAF fan, you already know that, you know, he's Springtrap or he's the murderer. But the way that they handle it just wasn't that good. It felt like they just kind of had to shove him in there because he's the villain of FNAF. He's the main guy. And the way that they handle the explanation of Springtrap having hold of the animatronics and what they do, it's so stupid. They apparently are under control from a children's drawing on the wall of Spring Bonnie and the children holding hands. And all it takes is Abby to just take down the drawing and show a drawing of Spring Bonnie murdering the kids. That's all it took? It just felt like stupid. It felt like a very dumb explanation for why the animatronics are so aggressive. Because I kind of had the implication that they hated adults because they were killed by an adult. So they try to comfort children while killing adults that seem bad. And I mentioned the campiness about this movie earlier, but it is a little too campy for its own good. There's an actual scene where the animatronics are like throwing a slumber party for Abby and Mike and Vanessa. And it just kind of bugged me, because there comes a point where something's campy and something's a little bit too childish. It felt like such an unnecessary scene that didn't add anything except for maybe the fact that Abby is a child and that they're trying to comfort her and persuade her to join them. But the problem is, a scene like that can just take away so much from the movie. Or at least the fear factor of the animatronics, I feel like. Because I do think that these animatronics can be scary, but not in this movie. Like, not in the slightest. They were not scary at all. They tried to make them scary, but they don't come off as scary. Rather just a threat that just lingers around and you just have to watch out for. Do I even have to mention the scene where Golden Freddy's child was looking at Springtrap, kind of sitting on the ground, twitching, and it immediately cuts to the Five Nights at Freddy's song by the Living Tombstone? I like that song, but that's like the worst tonal shift ever, and it just kind of like ruined the moment. And there's a scene where William Afton is getting spring-locked, and he's on the verge of death, and he says the infamous line, "I always come back," which is just what William Afton says in like most of the games, where he's like, "Oh yeah, I'll always come back because I'm the main guy, and you know, I have to always come back." But the way that it was done, it just felt like they wrote that line in the script and kind of wrote around it. Because obviously the line had to be there, but it was just put in like the weirdest spot possible. And he dies so fast, like there's no room for him to be an actual threat. When Abby's running up to put up the drawing, he just kind of stands there in awe and is like, "What are you doing? Don't do that." When he's got a knife and he's known for being a child murderer, I don't know, it's just weird. Aside from that whole mess though, I said the first half of the movie was good, because it is good. There's a great setup of the characters and a great setup of the settings. And then, by the time that they have that slumber party, the movie just completely falls off, and I was just bored out of my mind. Not to mention the character Vanessa. I think that she was just so unnecessary in the movie. She didn't add anything, and she just kind of was there for exposition more than anything. The way she talked was just so robotic and just so stagnant compared to Mike's really good acting of just like talking in a low, deep, casual voice. And not to mention, she knows about everything going on. She knows about what the animatronics are like and everything, and she just completely blue balls that idea to Mike. She doesn't tell him, she only just warns him. She goes like, "Don't come back, don't ever come back." And like, why? Explain why. You know why. It just comes off so unnatural, and she threatens to shoot him if he comes back. And it's like, are you a cop or are you just pretending to be a cop? It just made her stand out as a very nothing character, which is very funny when you consider that's how Vanny's character is in Security Breach, very boring and stagnant. There's also the subplot about Mike's aunt, who's trying to take custody of Abby, because she feels that Abby isn't really right for Mike, and Mike's not good enough for Abby. So a lot of the movie, I feel like, not a lot, but like, you know, a little bit, is spent on the aunt and her trying to get her way of just keeping Abby around her. And it bugs me because they have the aunt act like this Cruella de Vil kind of character where she's just like over the top kind of evil. Like she hires these thugs to smash up Freddy Fazbear's because that's where his new job was. And the thing is, like, she tells them to do it during the day, I guess. Because they do it during the day when he's off his shift and they start smashing up everything. And somehow he's still blamed for it, even though it's not his shift. Why would they smash it during the day when he's the nighttime security guard? That's not gonna get him fired, it's not his responsibility. Not to mention, Vanessa blames Mike for this, for the whole break-in and everything. She blames him and says that he didn't lock the gate, even though she was standing right in front of him, talking to him, as he was locking the gate. Obviously, this feels like a nitpick. It just kind of bugs me personally. I will say, they do this really, really cool thing with the animatronics where they stuff the bodies of the thieves that broke into the animatronics in the back room. And it has some like really creepy imagery. It looks really good. But like that whole aunt subplot was just kind of ridiculous, and it only existed to show like Abby does care about Mike. But they do it in such a just a dumb way with the aunt trying to get custody of Abby. So yeah, those are basically my overall thoughts. Again, I think the movie could have been good, and it was good at the beginning, but it falls off. It just falls off way too hard, and it's too hard for me to call it a good movie. So overall, I think I'm gonna have to give this a 3 out of 10. The animatronics look amazing, but honestly, great visuals cannot hold bad writing. There's very obviously going to be a sequel, but, you know, maybe it'll be better. I doubt it, though. I just kind of want to see the animatronics in the Jim Henson style again. They did a banger job. You know, it's funny, because talking about this movie in this depth kind of makes me think about my Mario movie video right now, which is coming out soon. Don't worry, I'm working on it, like, a lot right now. And it's really interesting to see how fan bases kind of react to it, where the fans love it and they hate the critics for hating it. But I'll be honest, the film industry and FNaF fans are so entirely different that I could totally see why it's such a big controversy. But they're both valid in how they feel. Like, FNaF fans can enjoy it. I am a FNaF fan. I'm a huge FNaF fan. I'm not a fan of the later stuff, but I see it, you know, I see the vision. And the FNaF movie is just great for fans. It's really good. It's like the Mario movie. But as a movie, it just doesn't hold up, and that's fine. Because it still holds up to the fans, so that's really what matters in the end, I guess. I'm sure many people find it fun, because, you know, it has fun moments, but I personally just did not enjoy it as a FNaF fan. So yeah, thanks for listening to my thoughts, and hopefully the sequel doesn't suck as much. Let me know if you guys like this style of video, and maybe I'll do it more. You know, for a first quickie, this is a really long video. I'm very sorry.